Hey there, welcome in. I'm Rhys, and today we'll be looking into 3 types of narrative structures and how they affect immersion, emotional engagement, as well as which I think is best to use in your video game. Before we get started, I want to bring up that there will be spoilers for these following games. If you don't want any spoilers, I'll be putting timestamps at the bottom of the screen for you to jump to. So, let's break it down. What's the difference between a story that makes us feel like heroes and one where we're left wondering if we had any real impact at all? To get to this, we need to talk about 3 different narrative structures: Convergent, Divergent, and Emergent. So let's get started with Convergent narrative. In games with Convergent narrative, your choices might seem significant, but at the end of the day, the main storyline doesn't change much. Think of it as like a movie, where you get to pick a few plot twists, but the ending always stays the same. You might be able to change some side quests or how characters react, but the major beats of the story stay locked in. For example, God of War presents an emotionally rich cinematic experience, but player choice is minimal. Kratos' journey is carefully directed, ensuring a strong narrative arc, while the player influences small interactions, such as Atreus' reactions and side quests. The main story remains unchanged. This allows for deep emotional connections to the story, but limits true player agency. One example of this being when Kratos is forced to confront the future of his son Atreus. No matter what choices you make, Atreus' path, whether he becomes Loki, joins the gods, or stays with Kratos, remains mostly unchanged by player decisions. While there are different emotional outcomes depending on how you shape Kratos' fatherhood or interact with characters like Freya, the grand outcome of Atreus and Kratos' relationship is bound to follow the preset narrative direction. The emotional weight of each choice feels significant in the moment, but the long-term fate of characters and events remain more or less fixed. Atreus' involvement in Ragnarok and his departure at the end of the game is inevitable, regardless of your interactions. Another example of convergent narrative is Telltale's The Walking Dead. Early in The Walking Dead, you make a heart-wrenching choice between saving Carly or Duck during the initial zombie attack. Depending on your choice, the rest of the game plays out with subtle changes, such as how your group members react to you. While this early choice feels significant, the rest of the game still follows the same key emotional beats. The game still builds towards the loss of Lee and Clementine's eventual survival. And while the specific characters you meet may differ slightly, the overarching narrative always leads to the same tragic conclusion. Now let's hop over to Divergent narrative. Now this is where things get interesting. Divergent narratives let you shape the world around you in ways that feel real. Your decisions have real consequences. Characters can die, whole storylines can change, and the outcome may vary widely from playthrough to playthrough. For example, one of my favorite games is Detroit Become Human. Every decision matters, whether you save a character, change the course of the revolution, or even decide who lives and who dies. The choices are heavy, and it feels like you're genuinely in control of the fate of the characters. One pivotal part in Detroit Become Human, and one of my favorite parts, is Connor's internal struggle between his loyalty to his human handlers and his growing connection to the deviant androids he comes across. If you choose to remain loyal to the humans, Connor remains a cold, calculating investigator, potentially leading to the death of major characters like Marcus and Kara. On the other hand, if Connor embraces the deviant cause, he can become a key ally in the android revolution, leading to an entirely different ending for the game's climax. Connor's, as well as Marcus and Kara's fates, are dramatically shaped by your decisions. For divergent narratives, we can also look at the game Until Dawn. In Until Dawn, if you make a tiny choice, it could mean the difference between a character surviving or meeting a gruesome end. It amps up the tension and makes every choice feel crucial. One of these crucial decisions in Until Dawn occurs when Jessica, one of the characters, is attacked by a mysterious figure after being separated from the group. You have the choice to try and save her or not, which can determine whether she survives or meets the gruesome end. If you fail to save Jessica, she dies. and her absence significantly impacts the group dynamics for the rest of the game. This affects how other characters react and even changes the dialogue or relationship outcomes. If Jessica survives, she becomes part of the surviving group, leading to a different sequence of events and a slightly altered conclusion. The game's butterfly effect system means that Jessica's fate is just one of the many unpredictable consequences that shape the overall narrative. Okay, but let's not forget about emergent narratives. These are a whole different beast. Instead of being told what's going to happen, the story emerges through your actions and the game's system. It's unpredictable, and that's what makes it so fun. For example, when I say narrative games, I bet you don't immediately think of The Sims. There's no script here. Everything from love triangles to surprise fires happens because of the choices you make. Want to see a sim become a billionaire? You can. Want to watch them fall in love, get betrayed, and ruin everything? That's on you. The narrative evolves from your gameplay. There's no guidelines on what you should or shouldn't do. Another example would be Minecraft. There's no set story here, just a world to explore, build, and survive in. You create your own adventure, whether you're surviving a creeper attack or building a castle with friends. The narrative is yours to make. So, which one is the winner when it comes to creating the best experience for players? Well, each of these narrative styles has its strengths. Convergent is great for a tight emotional ride, but it doesn't offer much replay value. Divergent gives you real control, making each choice feel impactful, but can get a bit overwhelming with all the possible outcomes. With Emergent, it's unpredictable, but personal. It lacks the emotional depth and structure of the others. So, which one is the best? Well, my answer is a mixture. Many games blend different narrative types to create a richer, more dynamic experience. It's not always about one or the other. Sometimes, a game can offer the best of multiple narrative styles at once. In fact, almost all the games I've spoken about have at least a little mixture of narrative types. For example, Detroit Become Human, Until Dawn, and Heavy Rain all have elements of Convergent, Divergent, and Emergent. They let you shape the course of the story with your decisions, offering divergent outcomes. But at the same time, they stick to a main plot that's relatively fixed, so you also have the convergent elements. There are also moments when the game's world feels alive, reacting to your choices in unpredictable ways, adding an emergent layer to the mix. A great narrative is all about how player choices are handled. If done right, player choices can make you feel like the story's yours. Whether it's the emotional highs of a convergent story, or the powerful stakes of a divergent one, or even the unpredictable fun of an emergent narrative. All these types have something cool to offer. Now, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite type of narrative? Do you love the thrill of real choices? Or do you prefer the surprise of a wild emergent story? Drop your thoughts below, and if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more content. I'll catch you next time.